Hi, hello. My name is Anja Milosavljevic, and I'm going to be your host today. You're listening to Mondopreneur podcast, and we are sharing stories of women from all over the world. Today, my guest is going to be Paola, and she's a dear friend I've met last year, last September in Warsaw, on a summer school for new product development. So enjoy our conversation. Hi, Paola. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's a real pleasure being here today. Thank you for the invitation, Sanya.
Thank you for accepting my invitation to participate in this project. Um, can you tell us something about yourself? Like, what is your educational background? Where do you come from? Where do you live? And what do you do?
So, first of all, I'm Italian, but precisely I should say I'm Sicilian more than Italian. And as you can understand, I'm very proud about my origin because Sicily has very strong traditions and culture from food perspective and cultural perspective. I think Sanya, you know very well because you've spent here 3 months of your life.
And I enjoyed every single moment of my stay in Sicily.
Yes, I can tell. And I was really, really surprised to meet you in Warsaw. The Serbian explosive lady that spent 3 months in Sicily. It was, and knows how to make all the delicious food, cannoli, caponata, all our things. So I was really pleased about that. So my background, I've studied in Sicily. I've done my bachelor in Palermo, and I've studied the business management. After that, I spent a year in England to learn the language. And while I was there, I understood how valuable was my food background. So I understood that I wanted to continue my studies within the food industry. So to lead my studies into that direction, I decided to do a master's in food economics and marketing. And I think it was very important, this step for me. First of all, because I decided to study in the UK, and therefore it was easy for me also to find a job in into this industry. So something that for me was very obvious, like food, when I was in here in Sicily, was absolutely, how can I say, I thought again about my background. And yeah, simple as it is, I understood that it's very valuable for me. I really enjoy this field. And after my bachelor degree, I've started my career in procurement in a fruit company that makes fresh fruit salads for supermarkets. Because in the UK, when you go into a supermarket, you can find a plastic pot. I know it's not nice to say these days, but at the moment, plastic is the cheapest and also nicest way of presenting this kind of product. And this is how I started this um, part of my life. Absolutely new. I didn't know much about fruit when I joined the company. So I joined the buying team, and I've
Mm-hmm.
started learning about fruit and being in contact with the growers. And I think this was the one of the most interesting parts of my job.
Mm-hmm. So, how is like to communicate with the seller from, I don't know, Argentina, and seller from, I don't know, UK, and seller from Sicily? Is it do you have different types of styles of conversation when you speak to persons from, I don't know, States or from Europe? Or is it just basically the same? You have like a template and you just, dear da da, and then at the end, sincerely Paola.
Well, that's a very good question. I think it's a mixture. I think in these kind of roles, the company tries to employ people from different cultural background, like myself or my colleague, which is Spanish, or and I think that's essential in this job because the conversation cannot be the same with everyone. It depends a lot with the grower or with the producer you are talking to, the country of origin, and the cultural background is completely different. We deal also with a lot of UK suppliers and Italian as well, and I have to say there is a huge difference among them, Italians or Spanish or UK. I can say that with regret, I have to say that dealing with the Italians is the worst, I think.
Why? Why? How come?
I'm sorry to say that, but they are the least reliable. The least reliable. I would say Italians third, second Spanish, and first UK people. So yeah, they are a bit colder, whatever, but they are reliable. I think the main difference is the outlook and the planning time. In companies like mine, we look at the long term. We want to build long-lasting relationships with our suppliers because it's sustainable for both parties. This is what it seems to be more logic, and you think, oh, people would prefer build a long-lasting relationship that just a short-term relationship, but it's not, because in countries like Italy and partially and also in Spain, people look at the very short period. So, for example, if there is lack of a certain product in the market, they don't care about the long-term relationship. They just think, okay, this month there is a shortage, we can sell this type of fruit 3-4 times more than usual, and to take advantage of the very short term, and that's a little bit sad because we as a company we would guarantee a whole season commitment with the producer, not just a week or a month, but yeah, it's a guarantee for them.
Interesting. Can you tell us something about the state of food industry in UK, let's say? I mean, I remember when I went to some supermarkets in London, everything was pre-made, pre-cooked, wrapped, ready to eat, ready to go. Is it the lack of time? Is it the lack of basic skills how to prepare your food? I know it's silly, but everyone can buy fresh fruit and then cut it, put it in a storage box and bring it with them. So what do you think? Why is that? Why do we need ready to go and ready to eat, pre-cooked? Or
So I think the UK is the leading country in the convenience sector. So I think in Europe is the country where you would find the bigger amount of ready meals, at least in Europe for sure. I think it's a mixture. It's both. I think it's a lack of skills. I think the lack of skills is very relevant in this country. Like sometimes I can hear some comments from my colleagues or friends that they wouldn't know how to cut a pineapple, or it's difficult to cut a pineapple. That for me, it's absolutely obvious and something very very basic, but yeah, apparently it's not. And yeah, I think what I've heard from my friends is that they haven't seen their parents cooking at home when they were children, so they don't really have the culture of making food. I can talk about my housemates as well. I live in a shared house, and everyone is not cooking. Everyone is putting food in the oven from the freezer or from the fridge already made. So it's incredible. In just an example that shocked me when I was looking for a place to live, it's that sometimes there is not even a table in the kitchen. So most of the time people eat in their room, but I think this is part of the whole eating culture because it's important cooking, eating at the table, and leaving the kitchen that for Mediterranean people like us, it's the place of the house where you spend most of your time.
It's a center of it's a heart of the house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know it's interesting because we, not just we in Serbia, but throughout the world, we are experiencing the problems, the health conditions directly connected to eating, like eating disorders, or diabetes, or high blood pressure. That those are the conditions or health issues that are directly connected to eating, and we should stop and start cooking at home. But no, we are actually expanding the market of ready meals. I mean, ready to eat or pre-cut fruit salad is perfect for me. You know, like you're eating fruits, you're not eating fast food. Uh, uh, where do you find, or what would be the replacement for a plastic? We're also aware that we have a problem with plastic. You know, it's not degradable. Sometimes, like in Serbia, we do not recycle, or we recycle in some small percentage that is not to mention.
Yeah, I think this sector is facing a big challenge regarding the packaging. First of all, they are moving to a kind of plastic which is 100% recyclable, so you can recycle all the packaging. But as you said, this convenience mentality just lead you to just be in the box, whatever. I mean, without caring in what bin you are putting this packaging, and also not everywhere you can find the different kind of beans. So I think that's a challenge. I've seen in the
So there is no infrastructure for those new types of plastic packaging.
Yes, only in a few places, or maybe in an office, or in central London, you see these fancy bins with different things, but other than that, not really. So it's very difficult. There are some packaging made of potato peel, but these are not very transparent, for example, and are very expensive. So the retail price of the product would be more expensive as well if we are about to change packaging. So that's a challenge, and I think the packaging industry is working very hard to find an alternative.
But do you have any kind of a research or insights? Like, would people, would your buyers be interested in paying more for a product that is in biodegradable packaging, like of the potato peel? Do you have any information about that?
So we work with very big retailers. Some the highest quality retailers are more interested and more sensitive about this topic. But other retailers are not really, because the price is everything. So at the moment, none of them is willing to pay such extra price to get biodegradable packaging. I think we are maybe a few years far from that.
Well, if it's like that in more developed societies, I don't know what can we expect here in Balkans or in Serbia. We don't even have those infrastructure for recycling. Like, we don't have different bins, or as you said, we have on some places. It's not everywhere. Like, I don't recycle in my own house because I don't have a place where to put the glass or the plastic or the cardboard, paper, whatever. I don't know where to put it. I only have one trash can in front of my house, so I have to put all the trash in one place. Yeah. What would be new product development for you? What do you think about design thinking and new product development?
So in my field, it's a bit challenging because as a product development, we intend new fruit mixes that didn't exist before. So working in sourcing, we are very close to our suppliers, and we are always looking for new type of fruits or fancy fruit, let's call it like that, to put in our packs. But that's very challenging because every time we try to put, for example, a new variety or a different variety that we believe has something more, and the problem is that we are talking to a public that probably is not 100% is not knowledgeable as, for example, us that we source the fruit, or has a minimum, I don't know, has just a basic knowledge of fruit to distinguish cantaloupe from yellow melon, but if we go in depth to varieties, then it's very difficult. Also, if we are about to put different kind of fruits, like dragon fruit that is beautiful, for example, this would be a bit expensive. These very niche fruit are very, very expensive, so the price would be higher, and unfortunately you are never sure if the people are gonna appreciate that product. At the moment, the UK loves figs from Turkey. There is a very popular variety that is called Bursa. And for a few years now, we are doing a pack with figs inside. But this year, this line seems not selling that well, which is a shame because it's very unique. We are the only one doing this product, but unfortunately, it doesn't sell that well.
So what changed? What changed in habits of your buyers, or your consumers?
It's hard to say because this is a very not very clear moment for consumer behavior due to the COVID situation. So everything has changed at the moment, and people seems to be focusing on different products. So this might be one of the reasons why they are not buying these kind of products. But going back to innovation can be seen as putting something else in these fruit salads. Like some companies started putting cheese, for example, or yogurt, which I think it's a very good idea, or some kind of dips. So this is the kind of development we could aim for.
But if you mix, I mean, pardon my French, but if you mix fruits and yogurt, then you basically have a fruit yogurt that you
Yeah,
can
why don't
already
you make it yourself?
or you can already buy one. They're on shelves like fruit yogurt. So, but okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah. I mean,
somebody.
it's not a fresh fruit though. It's like
Uh-huh.
like a fruit, like a compote with sugar and fruit. So it's not the same.
Okay, okay. No, when you said just mix yogurt and fruit, I was like, okay,
I do
there's.
it at home, to be honest. But it's not obvious. I mean, if cutting fruit is not obvious in some countries, mixing fruit and yogurt maybe is even less obvious.
I mean, it's interesting for me because when I try to make a package for my products, I choose to be 200 grams of pasta per package because I thought that I was thinking just of me and my family. I live with my husband and it's two of us. So 200 grams is per meal actually for the two of us. And sometimes that's why I think maybe those cut fruits, I was joking a bit, but sometimes it's really easier if you want to buy a watermelon and you're living alone. You're, I don't know, single, and what are you going to do with the watermelon that is, I don't know, 5 or 6 kilograms big? So it's sometimes it's really convenient to just buy one serving of fruits, but I think it's a trend. It's kind of a trend that people, it's easier to just buy pre-made or ready-made and just go with your daily duties. What would be the new fruit? What is the trend in fruits for, I don't know, 2020 or 2021? As you said, there is a variety of figs from Turkey. Is there any kind of a new fruit that is going to be trendy for the next period?
I think in the last few years, I think mango has become very in trend, and the trend is continuing. People like this fruit more and more. So I think this is one of the fruits that is going very well and will grow even in the future. Other fruit, I think berries are also becoming very popular
Mm-hmm.
because of the health benefits are becoming, I think, even more advertised and publicized by the even social media,
Mm-hmm.
like the blueberries or blackberries, raspberries, strawberries are very popular. Um, yeah, one of the least popular, which I also another one, a popular one, is pomegranates because it's
Mm-hmm.
already made. You just you don't need to cut. That's a bit of a pain, as we know. So pomegranates is, for example, the first selling product in our company,
Mm-hmm.
for instance. Less popular coconuts, which I think it's instead is very nice because it's already pre-cut and ready to eat. That's a bit hard to do by yourself, even though it's not that
Yeah.
difficult. Um, Watermelon is also in trend because
But
especially over the summertime.
watermelon is hard to preserve because it's basically water and sugar. Do you have any special treatment for a I mean, all fruits are perishable, but how do you treat the most perishable fruits like watermelon?
You'll be surprised, but fruit like watermelons or all the melons are not treated, are totally natural. I think the secret is in the packaging.
Mm.
On that film that we see on the top, there are some micro perforations that we cannot see, and
Mm-hmm.
the number of the micro perforations and size of these very very small holes, it depends on the type of the fruit, because different fruits, we say, respire at different rates. So they consume oxygen, different levels of oxygen. So, and according to that, the packaging will have, the film will have a few, a certain number of micro perforations, and this will ensure a shelf life of 5-6 days.
That's a long period for fruit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, to be on the shelf. Okay. But what's the situation in Italy, in Sicily?
From
you have
this,
the experience. You have the experience from UK. What's the situation in Italy?
So in Italy, the market is starting doing these kind of things, especially in the north of Italy, in very big cities like Milan. Regarding Sicily, I think we are a little bit far from this kind of products, although it's quite similar. We can relate this kind of trends to the ready salads, the green ones. So that came around 10 years ago, maybe more. And I think here nowadays are very popular because people are so lazy. I mean, cutting a salad is so obvious, right? I mean,
I know.
thinking about that, cutting a salad is so obvious, but now it's very popular. The majority of the people would buy a ready bag with the salad already cut and washed. So who knows, maybe in a few years time it's gonna be popular in Italy, more popular, like in the UK.
I know. There is one thing I really liked when I was in Sicily. There are some chains of supermarkets that are from Europe, but Sisa is one most preferable one, and or people I met there and people I lived with, they prefer to buy from local suppliers and from a local supermarket chain than to go to some foreign or to buy I don't know some milk that is not from Italy, that comes from Austria, let's say. They prefer buying local products, and that is something that is starting to be popular here in Serbia, like buy local products. Not just to cut the emission of CO2 or whatever, but just to support the local economy. If you buy local products, then you are supporting local suppliers. Do you have any opinion about that, or was that just my impression? Is it a wrong impression?
I think Italians are very careful about where they shop and what they buy, especially about food. I don't think they care much about money or about the prices of food. They are willing to spend more if they know the product is good. This is a big difference in comparison to the UK, for example, where people just look at the price, and that's why chain like Aldi from Germany has been so successful, because the prices are absolutely ridiculous. But I think in Italy, cheaper prices make people wonder why is so cheap, and I think it's directly related to, in people's mind, to something that is not good quality. So, and yes, people care about buying local products. There are some Sicilian brands, for example, that are not well known, but people are still willing to try this product and see how they are. And most of the time, they are good products. As you said, they would prefer going to local supermarkets. This is another difference in comparison to the UK, where the market is is in the hands of 5-6 big retailers. In Italy, is the opposite. It's very fragmented because every region almost has some local supermarket chains. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that that's good. That's good. It gives more choice to the consumers as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, so, do you ever wish to become entrepreneur?
Um, well, I think it's too early at the moment, but why not? I mean,
When you say early, why? What do you think when you say early?
mm,
Is it just not the phase in your life, or do you think you should gather more knowledge and skills and tools, or is it something different?
um, yeah, I feel this period for me working abroad is very important to gain the knowledge because for many years I had been a student and especially in Italy the approach is very theoretical, so you just learn the book and that's it. And when you go out in the world, it's completely different. So I think this job gives me the opportunity to use some theory and also especially practical knowledge, like building relationships, negotiating, and in the end, it's all about making good relationships and understanding how building them over time. So that's very important, I think, in businesses. And
Mm-hmm.
and then I believe everything. When you feel ready for something, you will feel inside you have I don't know, an idea you want to develop, and I don't have this feeling at the moment, so I'm fine.
I'm fine, thank you. Uh, do you have friends, ladies, women, girls, that run their businesses either in
Yes,
UK or in Sicily? What do
yes.
they what do they usually is there any specific branch they choose to develop their businesses, like food industry or some kind of services, or is it doesn't matter, they are in different industries?
I think sometimes services like social media services that are very much in trend these days, and many companies need it. And in this sector, I've seen many women, both in Sicily and in the UK. And because I've studied within the food industry, I know many people like you, many women like you, or and the other friends that started. I've seen starting their own business from scratch, and I can relate to a friend that she's a she comes from Taiwan but lived in LA for most of her life, studied in London, and then a few years ago she decided to make her own vegan tea latte, which is a quite new product on the market. And we've met at another summer school, like with you, the previous year, and and yes, she's going, I think, ahead very well. I'm very proud of seeing all the process as well. So
Nice.
yeah, I think there is some kind of push inside the young women, women in general, to emerge in the society and show that we can do things.
Mm-hmm. Yes. What's the state of entrepreneurship in Sicily? I know that entrepreneurship in UK is basically on a higher level because I know some people from there. They're from, I don't know, they are startups, or they start as and treat their businesses as they are big industries at the beginning. And I know it's kind of a developed. But what's the situation in Sicily? Is it
Mm,
I don't want to say developed or underdeveloped, but when I spent time there, and people I met never ever nobody spoke about startups or starting their businesses. It's just like, it's not for me, I'm not ready, I would like to work in a public sector, I don't need that. Especially young women, they're either trying to go to the northern parts of Italy, or they just want to work somewhere, to be employee, not the employer.
Yeah, that's very true. You described the situation very well. I think for both men and women, it's getting more and more common to see the public sector as the only alternative here in Italy. Yeah, especially if you're a woman and you want to have a family, it's even more difficult if being employed by a private company, because I've heard women being asked if they are married, if they expect to have children, but and this is of course kind of disadvantage for the woman, because the company has to pay the maternity leave, but and it's not an advantage for the company. I think here the mistake is from the government, because it's not fair that these extra costs have to be put on companies' shoulders, and it's an inequality, because of course men don't have these problems, and will be always preferred to women, and it's very sad. So that's why the public sector is very much preferred by women, and also entrepreneurship. It's not for everyone. I can speak for a personal experience where my grandparents founded a very small bar, ice cream shop here in Capodorlando.
Sorry, I love your story. I love that story. It's I don't know. It's like a dream.
Yeah, to make things short, my grandmother and my mother especially, she was an entrepreneur, and she tried to promote the territory, and I mean, it was a great example as a working woman with 5 children, successful. So it's possible, I guess.
So can you just share a bit? They opened a small bar,
yes,
a gelateria, and it actually later it became a restaurant.
Yes, correct. Yes, they opened this small place at the end of the 50s, and at some point people were asking more and more, not only ice cream but also pasta or meat. So my grandparent, that was taking care of the kitchen side, started making more things. They were doing. My grandmother told me that at the beginning they were renting swimming suit that she was making with the wool. So this was very fascinating, because they didn't have normal swimming suits, so they were renting this kind of swimming suits, and it was incredible. So with many sacrifices, the business then became a restaurant and also a hotel today. So it was a long process over 60 years, and that then was put in the hands of my mom and my uncle, and then now it's the 3rd generation, and unfortunately no one is into this business that much, so we don't manage the business at the moment.
That's sad for me. That's sad to hear. What's the do you have any information? I know that you are in Sicily for some period of time now. What's the situation in tourism industry? I mean, I know that Sicily lives from agricultural industry, but also lives from the tourists that come to Sicily. So what's the state of the tourism sector in Italy and Sicily?
I think over the last years, probably I would say 5 years, we've definitely had an increase in tourists. I think due to the fact that that image of Sicily related to the Godfather traditions is going away. Uh, Thank goodness, because it's not possible. When I meet people in the UK, they all they can say about Sicily is about the Godfather, and they ask me what's mafia, if it's still there, and it's like we are living in, I don't know, in the 50s. No, it's all normal. You can come here. You are more than welcome. And I've heard many positive feedback from people that traveled in Sicily. So things are improving. I think we still need to improve a lot of things, like people speaking English. I think you faced this challenge.
I know. That was the huge problem for me because I didn't speak Italian nor Sicilian. And for the first month, I was like talking to nobody.
Exactly. So yeah, from this point of view, we need to improve. But yeah, the hospitality and the warmth, it's there. So I'm pleased that we are improving from this point of view, and we can do more because the weather is very good since April until October, and still we have these spring and autumn months where we don't have much people around. So it'd be good to
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 attract
work
more
more.
people.
Yeah.
So for the end, what would be your message to people in Serbia and to people in the world?
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are. I think the most important thing is to believe in your passions, and I think follow them every day in your life, and also transform your passions into your work, so that things are easier. Otherwise, I don't know. I could not imagine my life doing something else, to be honest with you. So I'm very much driven by my passions, and this is what I advise to you as well.
Thank you. Thank you, cara mia. It was really a true pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your time. I know it's a challenging time for you now, personally, privately. So just stay strong. I know that you are. So be good.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.
Oof, I hope to see you even sooner because I was supposed to go to Sicily during this summer, and I couldn't go. We couldn't leave Serbia because we are on I don't know, some kind of a blacklist because we have we have a huge number of people infected with COVID, so we are not allowed to enter European Union countries. So maybe some other year, maybe next year. But anyway, thank you so much, and ciao.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Bye bye. Cheers.
Ciao. This was Paola from Sicily. She lives she lives and works in UK, but at the moment she's in Sicily. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. You can always follow us on social media like Facebook, Instagram. You can listen to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, and other platforms. Stay safe, stay in good health, and see you in a week.